The Rings of Power is remarkable in one very unique way. Despite me having a profound love for Tolkien's works for 22 years, it somehow manages to suck out the very life of me. It becomes more and more clear to me why it doesn't feel like Tolkien, why it doesn't feel like Lord of the Rings, so expect a video on that soon. This episode is the one that finally broke me, the one that forced me to my knees. I can't take it no longer. So this will be my last review of The Rings of Power. Sure, it might not be as profitable, but I care little about that. I only care about Tolkien's true lore. This show has none of it. The only lore-accurate thing about it is that it makes me feel like Bilbo. Thin, sort of stretched, like butter scraped over too much bread. After watching the episode, I had no motivation to actually write the script, nor make the video. And no show is truly worth that. So this will be the last one. As always, I'll give points at the end for various aspects, but don't expect them to be very high this time. The episode kicks off with Arondir walking through a forest and then getting attacked by 3 orcs. Then he kills them with ease, as always, still being fake Legolas. As always, one of them has a map. Great writing. Then we cut to Eregion, where Celebrimbor is starting to lose his mind. He talks to himself and can't remember the name of Myrtania. No wonder. She isn't in the lore. Apparently they are in need of Mithril in order to finish the 9 rings. Anatar takes advantage of the situation and acts as Lord of Eregion. There are clear signs of orcs outside the city, yet apparently no panic. For a race of wisdom and keen eyes, it's quite impressive. Myrtania trusts Anatar, but nobody cares. Then we cut to Adar and Galadriel having a lovely date in a tent. Adar wants to make sure it's actually Sauron, and then he shows the crown of Morgoth, and even gives the middle finger to the law. Nice. It's pretty much the same in all the episodes so far, so, you know, nothing new. Then we have Númenor, where Ar-Pharazôn judges Elendil for his supposed crimes. He wants him to swear fealty and renounce Miriel, but he refuses. The scene feels a little awkward, both the acting and how the characters move around, but I guess it's just me. Apparently his fate is to be decided by the Valar, by summoning a giant sea worm? Great. Now they steal stuff from Dune too. But what is the Rings of Power without the worst plot lines? We have the Stranger and Bombadil talking, and then fake Gandalf has a vision of Nori. But it's not important apparently, so we just go on. The show tries something new and starts becoming blasphemous. They speak of the secret fire, also called the flame imperishable. It is in simple words, the Holy Spirit, the mysterious powers of Eru used for creation. So, no, you are not meant to master it. You actually sound a lot like Sauron and Morgoth now. Gandalf is a servant of the secret fire, not the master of it. Yeah, this is the moment where it got really hard for me to keep watching, and it somehow just gets worse and worse as you watch on. Then we have Nori and whatever her name is. Apparently these are Smeals, the hobbit holes, though they seem to be the opposite of the law. This looks exactly like a dirty wet hole. Anyway, Nori wants to turn herself in. I don't know why, but okay, who cares? Then we got to Poppy and nobody kissing, because everyone just wants that. 2 characters nobody likes. And if you like them, I think you need help. Then Poppy and Nori talking again, this time about turning herself in. But apparently they want to fight or something. I don't know. And I don't care anymore. I think this is great writing, huh? Then back to the Stranger and Bombadil. Apparently he needs to find a staff in this valley. I just can't. It's simply too dumb. And too far removed from Tolkien. So far, nothing lore accurate has happened, nor will it. But let's keep watching. Of course, we have another stolen line, because that's all this show can do. Anyway, as always, they prove they don't understand Tolkien. The context of this line in the books is mercy. Frodo says Gollum deserves to die, something Gandalf questions. So yeah, they missed the target as always. Then we are back in Castle Doom, and start out with this cheesy line. I can forgive that, but alright. The prince and king are talking, and then Anatar appears, asking for Mithril. King Durin refuses, and Anatar leaves. Prince Durin is worried about the ring, and it's clearly affecting the king. though he refuses to see it. For some unknown reason, the ring now gives you superpowers, so you can actually toss a dwarf. Great stuff. Then we of course have another scene with Disa and Durin. I find them hard to endure, but alright, here we go. She basically wants to overthrow the king because of the ring, but Durin still loves his father, so we get some more crying, as always, because that's the only emotion the showrunner seems to know. Anyway, they agree to do something to stop the king. Then we have a scene with Elendil in prison. His daughter Eregion shows up and tries to convince him to bend the knee. He still refuses, and she thinks it's pride. I have a feeling the showrunner saw the word pride and thought, let's just keep using that word. They don't really seem to understand what it actually means, but I guess I'm just a troll. I can't remember anymore. Of course we get some more tears, and then Miriel shows up and begs him to bend the knee as well. He refuses, and we get some more tears. How else would the island drown? Then we go back to Khazad-dûm. Disa blocks the way for Na'vi and some of the other dwarves, so they can't use the mithril mines. Then she sings, and her army of bats, shows up and chases them off. If you find this odd, well, welcome to the club. Dumb writing, so let's just move on. Then we have Elendil about to be sacrificed, but then Miriel shows up, in a new dress mind you, and wants to take his place. According to their fake law, she is allowed to do that. Then they summon the sea worm, and she is put into the water. And the worm does nothing. Apparently people cheer for her now, so I guess a civil war is coming. The writing in the show is just next level dumb. Then we have the same scene again with Pharazôn, but this time we actually have to see what he sees in the Palantir, which is pretty much nothing. It's impressive how many visions of the future we get in this show. How many is it? 3 per episode now? I don't know. I find it lame and boring, especially when it's done over and over again. I'm sure the self-proclaimed Tolkien professor will love it. He seems to love everything about the show, and he's certainly more an expert in grasping for straws than the law. Adar and Galadriel again. They talk about the rings and how they'll be used to dominate various races. Galadriel then realizes that Sauron wanted Adar to attack, and then she is imprisoned again, but not before she screams like a maniac and ruins her acting career. I really like that we see legions, except we can't see a damn thing. Great stuff. Truly a masterpiece. Back to Celebrimbor and his madness. He wants to go outside and see what's going on, but Sauron, somehow, makes him see a happy vision of Eregion and convinces him to go inside again and finish the 9 rings for men. Using Fëanor's hammer, apparently. I don't know what he was using before, to be honest, but alright. Apparently Anatar got some mithril from Na'vi, stole it, or he's lying again. Nobody really cares at this point. Then the last thing we see is the siege starting, and the orcs using their catapults against Eregion. Let's move on to the points and rate this episode. Story. It's impressive how I almost liked the previous episode, yet this one is the one that finally broke me. Here we have boring plot lines, dumb plot lines, and of course plot lines that have nothing to do with Tolkien. That's actually all of them. It was hard to get through, and by the end, I wanted to join Gollum and jump into a volcano. I'm really trying to be positive here, but I didn't like anything in this episode. In fact, I hated almost everything about it. So I give it -6 out of 10. Lore. Where to begin? There is no lore. There are those that claim otherwise, but to them I can only say they misunderstand the fundamental elements of Tolkien's world and philosophy. This show is like Khal Drogo after the curse. It may look like Tolkien for the untrained eye, whether bored by Amazon, blinded by politics, or sheer ignorance. I know not. It is not Tolkien, and those that claim otherwise really need to read some more. For this reason, and the other heresy in it, I'll give it -10 out of 10. Visuals. Oh, what a pretty show when you can see something. I wasn't really impressed by anything. I think some of the orcs look nice, but the costumes overall makes me long more for Peter Jackson's adaptation than anything else. I found nothing impressive, and most of what we saw we had already seen. So we land on 1 out of 10. Dialogue. Bad lines, dumb lines, stolen lines. It seems to be the pattern of the show. Put your bits into it. The sea is always right. What a lovely return. Some deserve death and some deserve life. I know many say this show is written by AI, but AI writes better than this, and it would certainly be better at understanding what Tolkien actually meant with his lines, which could perhaps prevent this terrible show from happening. So we end on 1 out of 10. Acting. Yay, the Harfords are back, and all the other terrible characters. I think Celebrimbor and Anatar were pretty good, and the same with Elendil and Ar-Pharazôn, though they felt a little off in this episode. Adar was alright, but it felt more like acting at times, especially because it sounds like he's changing his voice a lot. I think Galadriel was terrible, and I'm surprised if anyone thinks she's great. I'll be generous and give it 3 out of 10. Music and sounds. The music was fine, and certainly the best part of the episode. In fact, of both seasons. I feel kinda bad for those involved, yet that being said, I won't remember any of it. By the end of the day, it all sounds kind of similar, at least to me, and not very memorable. So we land on 4 out of 10. Final score. So how will I rate this episode? The last one I'll make. I'll certainly never watch it again, and I can only hope in time I'll forget all about it. I'm really trying to come up with something positive to say here, but the only thing I can think of is that I will never watch The Rings of Power again. It has truly been a long and harsh journey through the darkness. I can only hope the show fails hard and makes Amazon lose a ton of money. So I'll give it -5 out of 10. Despite it being the last episode I'll review, it will not be the last video where I talk about The Rings of Power. Soon I'll make some videos, but instead of pointing fingers at this turd, telling you how awfully it smells, I'll instead focus on what I actually love about Tolkien. What is truly great. Hopefully that light can outshine this darkness. So to those of you that love the show, or worse, praise it, I have one thing left to say. May Ero have mercy on you and forgive you. I cannot. As always, special thanks to all the incredible supporters of the channel. If you want to support me as well, you can become a member here on YouTube or over on Patreon. I'm doing a lot to offer you guys special content and hope to be able to offer even more in the future. If you want to see more videos about the Rings of Power, check out this playlist next. Farewell till next time.